during the British times, what the Britishers did was that they used to give some titles. Do you understand that? And through these titles, they used to create distinction in the society. Like say, for example, you know that they would give titles like Raja Sahab. Have you heard about this? Rai Zada. Remember Prem Bihari, Rai Zada? So Rai Zada, Nawab Sahab, Rai Bahadur. These kind of titles would be given by the British. Or जो नवाब होते थे, you know that they would consider themselves above, or the Rajas, they would consider themselves above than the other people in the society. So was that not creating arbitrary distinction between people in the society? So the society was not behaving as one whole. Do you understand that? We are trying to understand the democracy, and we understood that democracy has three manifestations. What are they? Political democracy, social democracy, and economic democracy. If I crush them all, what will I get? Democracy. If I expand everything, what will I get? Political, economic, and social democracy. Do you get that? So we will start our understanding by understanding political democracy. Do you understand that? So look here. What is actually the aim of political democracy? The aim of political democracy is to deliver political justice. Now, what is political justice? Look here very carefully. Political justice, in very simple words, means there shall be no arbitrary matlab manmana. Do you understand that? There shall be no arbitrary distinction between man and man in the political sphere. It means, what am I saying? There will be no arbitrary distinction between whom? Between man and man. Where? In the political sphere. Now, what do we mean by that? Look here, that in India, do everybody have their own rights to vote? Every person carries the right to vote. The only condition is you have to meet the age barrier. It means you have to be an adult. The moment that happens, you get your right to vote. Do you get that? So what kind of suffrage have we adopted? Universal adult suffrage. Do you understand that? Suffrage means the right to vote. Do you understand that? And it's universal. It means there is no distinction between man and man on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, gender, or any of them, place of birth. Do you understand that? So it means what? It means that every man, can I say every man, has the right to vote in India? Tell me yes or no? Yes. All the people have right to vote. अच्छा ऐसा है क्या कि मेरे वोट की वैल्यू आपके वोट की वैल्यू की 10 times है? It means we also function on the principle of one man, one vote. So everybody has right to vote, and everybody's vote carries same weightage. Don't you think this is justice? This is justice. If suppose it was be something like that, that only men will have the right to vote, women will not have the right to vote, and man's vote, suppose if he has property, then his vote will have more value over the vote of the person who is wandering on the streets. Then you can understand that people will twist the government the way they want it to. And not everybody's voice will be in the process of making the government. Do you get that? So you see, in the British times, what happened was that first, the franchise was very limited. It was limited. It was only given to whom, do you know? Only given to those people who had property. Means those who were zamindars and all, they were given the right to vote. Or you have to be educated. Educated in what? English education. Do you get that? And for a large part of India's history, British Indian history, the women were given no right to vote. In fact, till earlier part of 20th century, United States of America, USA also did not give right to vote to women. But India from 26th of November 1949 declared that what we will have? Universal adult suffrage. Is that not a very big pledge? Can you see that? And it says that everyone will have right to vote irrespective of gender, sex, caste, class, whatever, religion. Do you get that? And everybody's vote will have the same weight. One man, one vote. Do you get that? Also, you see, during the British times, you know, they prepared different voter lists in order to divide the society. One list for Hindus, one for Muslims, one for Sikhs, one for Christians, one for Anglo-Indians. This is how they prepared. Initially, they introduced separate electorates for Muslims, right, in 1909. And you know, there is a very clear thread in that. 1905 में क्या होता है? Bengal divide हो जाता है. 6 में क्या हो रहा है? Muslim League बन रही है. और 1909 में क्या आ रहा है? Morley Minto reforms and then separate electorates. Do you understand that? There's a grand design in this. Can you see that? Now, look here. In that separate electorate, what it meant? That the voter list will only consist Muslim names. Do you understand that? And in that constituency, only Muslims can fight for elections. Do you get that? Later on, they also extended this to other communities as well, like Sikhs, Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians, etc. The idea was what? The idea was divide and rule. Do you understand that? But India, the makers of Indian Constitution, they thought that we are not going to do this kind of a thing because it was separate electorate which led to the lamentable partition of the country. After all, do you understand that? The seeds of separation were led here. That's how Muslim League and Jinnah later on attained so much of political clout because of their continuous demand of separate electorate. Today, when you go for your legislative assembly elections or when you go to the polling booth to cast your vote for legislative assembly or for Lok Sabha, do you find different lists? No, there is one list, and that is what? It is the general voter list. Whatever be your religion, whatever be your gender, whatever be your caste, whatever be your class, your name is included in that same single general voter list. Do you understand that? And also you see that only few people could contest elections during the British days. Not everybody could contest election. But today, if you want to contest for the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, even for the office of president, can you do it? Yes. अलग बात है जीतोगे हारोगे वो छोड़ो. But can you do it? Yes, you can do it. There is no restriction. Is that not justice? Everybody can fight elections. The only thing is you have to satisfy certain eligibility criteria. Like suppose if you are going for Lok Sabha, you have to meet how much amount of age? 25 years. Then only you can go and fight for the Lok Sabha elections. Do you understand that? So see the beauty of Indian Constitution. First, it says everybody will have the right to vote. Every man's vote will have same value. No separate lists, voter lists, one single voter list, and everybody can fight elections. Is that not justice? There is no arbitrary distinction between man and man in the political sphere. Now, there are some intelligent distinctions between man and man in the political sphere. Like say, for example, only you can vote if you have crossed the age of 18. It makes sense, right? Because minors, they might not be in a situation to understand the political undercurrents of the country and take a conscious decision. Do you understand that? At least that is what is thought. But there can be few people, like have you read somewhere in newspapers or have you seen in televisions ever that this 14-year-old boy cracks IIT JEE, 12-year-old boy cracks NEET. Have you seen that? So they're extraordinary people, right? But generally it is believed that you will attain some maturity when you cross the age limit of 18. At least that is what is assumed. Do you understand that? Also you see one thing. Absence of arbitrary distinction between man and man doesn't mean that there can be distinction between man and woman. This is one way of writing in legal language. See, when the words man and man is used, it means what? Man and man, man and woman, woman and man, woman and woman. Do you understand that? Between nobody there will be any arbitrary distinction. Do you get that? Again, like you know that the Constitution completely abolishes untouchability through Article 17. Now, if suppose there is a person who has practiced untouchability, then that person will not be allowed to fight the elections for Lok Sabha or State Legislative Assembly elections. Is that valid? Does that make sense? Yes, because by practicing untouchability, you hurt the dignity of someone. And you know, one of the major promises which the makers of the Indian Constitution made through the preamble is to promote fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and unity and integrity of the nation. You understand that? So see, What is political democracy? Look here very carefully. Political democracy, its aim is to deliver what? Political justice. Political justice means absence of arbitrary distinction between man and man in the political sphere. Man and man means man and woman, woman and man, woman and woman also. Also man and woman on one hand and the others on the other hand, like the transgenders. Do you understand that? No arbitrary distinction. Now, if you miss, somebody may ask that if you go to a transgender, ask that have you a voter ID card? Maybe at times you will not find one. That's the faultiness in the implementation. Do you understand that? The idea is to provide everybody. Now that has not been provided because there is some faultiness in the implementation. Maybe as we progress as a society, you will see that everybody will carry one election card, provided that you have attained the age of 18 and you are not debarred under any law. Do you get that? Like the Untouchability Act. If you are not debarred, then you will have this. So political democracy delivers what? Political justice. And what is that? Absence of arbitrary distinction between man and man in the political sphere. How is that reflected in India? One man, one vote, and everybody has vote. Do you understand that? Universal adult franchise and one man, one vote. One single voter list. Do you understand that? Previously we had several number of voter lists for different communities. The idea was to divide. Do you understand that? But since independence, we have only adopted one general voter list. Have you seen that just before the assembly elections or even the municipal body elections or the general elections, you would see that behind public transports, some notable figures, they will make this appeal to all to get your name enrolled in the general voter list. Why? Because there is only one. There is only one voter list. Do you get that? And that is the general voter list. Do you understand that? And also you see everybody can fight elections. Only thing is you have to fulfill the eligibility criteria. And in this way, the Indian Constitution delivers what? Political justice. And that's the aim of political democracy. Do you get it? So now we'll try to understand what is social democracy. So give the next heading, social democracy. Social democracy. Now, look here very carefully. If the aim of political democracy was to deliver political justice, logic says that the aim of social democracy would be to deliver what? Social justice. So its aim is to deliver social justice. Now see how we make functional statements or functional definition. आपको किताबों की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी अगर आप समझ लो अच्छे से. Remember, political justice meant what? Absence of arbitrary distinction between man and man in the political sphere. So social justice should mean what? It is absence of arbitrary distinction. Arbitrary distinction between man and man. Where? In the social sphere. Now, let me take you back in time. You know that although the Indian civilization is very pious and pure, but with time, you know, all civilization degrade and some degeneration do happen in every civilization. So Indian civilization is no exception. So unfortunately, the practice of untouchability, it grew in the Indian civilization, especially during the early medieval part of our history, and from there it continued. Do you understand that? Now look here. Untouchability means what? Untouchability simply means that in the society, there would be a certain section of the society who would be considered as below than everybody else solely on the ground of their birth. Do you understand that? Now you tell me, any civilized society, can we accept something like this? It is heinous. It's a crime against humanity. Do you understand that? Because every man is equal. Do you understand that? Equality, is that not a very big promise made by the makers of Indian Constitution? Do you understand that? So therefore you see, the Indian Constitution adopts an article which is Article 17, which abolishes what? Untouchability. If untouchability exists in India, can we say that there will be social justice? No, because then there will be distinction between man and man, an arbitrary distinction like on the grounds of birth. Do you get that? So you see that Article 17 promises what? Social justice, because it abolishes what? The heinous practice of untouchability. Do you get that? Now, look here. During the British times, what the Britishers did was that they used to give some titles. Do you understand that? And through these titles, they used to create distinction in the society. Like say, for example, you know that they would give titles like Raja Sahab. Have you heard about this? Rai Zada. Remember Prem Bihari, Rai Zada? So Rai Zada, Nawab Sahab, Rai Bahadur. These kind of titles would be given by the British. Or जो नवाब होते थे, you know that they would consider themselves above, or the Rajas, they would consider themselves above than the other people in the society. So was that not creating arbitrary distinction between people in the society? So the society was not behaving as one whole. Do you understand that? So through Article 18, the Indian Constitution, it abolishes titles of nobility. Do you understand that? But it does not abolishes titles of merit. Titles of merit are what? Like say, for example, academic titles. Somebody does PhD, he gets doctorate, he becomes doctor. Or military titles, like say, for example, brigadier, general, captain, major. Have you seen that they use such titles with their names? The point is, these are not hereditary titles. Hereditary titles means if suppose somebody is major or say wing commander, does that mean that his son or his daughter will automatically become major or wing commander? No. But if somebody is Nawab, then the son is already Chote Nawab. Do you get that? So the point is this, the idea was to abolish what? The idea was to abolish arbitrary distinction between man and man. And by doing this also, the Britishers divided the society. Everything that they did, the aim was to divide the society. First, they created separate electoral rolls for every community. Then what they did, they further divided each community on the grounds of the rulers and the non-rulers. Do you get that? So this is again something where you see that social justice prevails in the country because the Indian Constitution abolishes title of nobility, but not titles of merit. Do you understand that? Then also, you see, there is another article, which is Article 15 in the Constitution, which says that the state shall not discriminate between citizens only on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Okay, you tell me that if you are coming from a particular state, can you apply for the civil services examination? Does your caste, religion, gender, anything comes in between? No. That is what? That is what is social justice. Do you understand that? Now, suppose the government makes some programs and programs for the poor people. Does it then consider caste, religion, all those kind of things? No. If Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, is it only for one community? No, for everybody. Do you understand that? And that is what is social justice. Now see here, in Ashok Kumar versus the state of Uttar Pradesh, Supreme Court said, it's a 1997 case, Supreme Court said that social justice is a fundamental right. Do you understand that? It means nobody can take this away from you. Got that?